Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank the organizer for having invited me, and I should present the arguments contra. We all know the results of Crystal AF trial showing the efficacy of insertable loop recorders in patients after stroke. In the trial, 441 patients were randomized to either insertable loop monitoring by means of implantable loop recorder provided by Medtronic and control. And as you can see, at 6 months, the detection of AF was almost in 9% in the ILR group compared to 1.4% in the control group. By looking at the results, you can see that there was a dramatic difference in the AF detection within the first few months. Later on, after the third month, the difference was not so huge. I think there is no doubt that long-term ECG monitoring should be used in all patients after stroke of unknown source, but the question I propose to you is, do we really need an invasive method to measure and monitor ECG? I'd like to show you the arguments, and we have another tools and devices that give us very similar results with less costs and easier use for us and for the patients. These are results of Embrace trial that had similar design as the Crystal AF trial. 572 patients, a bit older, and the patients were randomized to either long-term non-invasive monitoring by means of non-invasive loop recorder with daily transtelephonic transfer or control. At 90 days, the AF was detected in 16% of patients in the loop recorder group compared to 3.2. Importantly, half of the episodes of AF episodes were detected within the first week, and 3/4 of the episodes in the first 2 weeks after the start of monitoring. The earlier we start, the better results we have. And more importantly also, AF detection was higher in patients who were enrolled very early, within 3 months after the index event, compared to patients who enrolled later. These are results of a similarly designed trial that was called FINE AF trial, published last year in Lancet. Almost 400 patients randomized to either enhanced monitoring group or control. Enhanced monitoring was ensured by 3 10-day Holter recording without transtelephonic transfer, and not surprisingly, in agreement with previous trials, the AF was more often detected in the enhanced monitoring group. Let's look in more detail at the results. During the first 10-day Holter, 18 patients were found to have AF. During the second, only 6, and during the last, only 1. It emphasized the point I mentioned in the last study: the earlier we start monitoring, the better results we have. This is the data that was provided by MDT Services. That is a company offering long-term non-invasive ECG monitoring in the Czech Republic for different sorts of patients. 271 patients after stroke, detection of AF in 13% of them, less than 10 days enough to detect AF. In addition to the efficacy, we have to also compare costs. In the Czech Republic, the price of one reveal is 70,000 Czech crowns, and this price doesn't include the implantation procedure and doesn't include the explantation procedure. 1 month of non-invasive ECG monitoring in the Czech Republic is offered for 170 euros. It means 380 euros for 3 months. It means that for the amount of one reveal, you can monitor 6 patients for 3 months non-invasively. The implantation procedure of reveal is considered to be very easy, and it is very easy if you compare it to other interventional procedures such as, pacemaker implantation, angiography, and so on, and it could be done on the outpatient basis, as you can see here. However, it's not entirely free of complications. So in the last year, there was published a series of 1,400 patients. Half of them were implanted in the procedure room and half of them in the EP room, in the surgical theater, and in the patients implanted in the procedure room, the rate of infection was 1.6%. So for almost 3,000 euros, you can have a skin infection. Very nice. The explantation. In the end of the procedure, of the monitoring, you have to explant the procedure because it can't be forever subcutaneously. I haven't found any single paper regarding explantation, so I have to show you an example of one patient. In the beginning, I assumed the procedure would take 5 minutes, and I had prepared one surgical instruments. In the end, I finished the procedure after 25 minutes with a lot of instruments here. So the explantation is difficult, more difficult than the implantation. And in obese patient, after 2 years of implantation, it's sometimes really difficult to find where the reveal is located. My last point is ECG analysis. The ECG analysis of long-term non-invasive monitors are often time-consuming. You have to go through a lot of ECG curves, but the quality of ECG is typically very good. You can see clear P waves, clear QRS complexes, sudden onset of something, sudden termination, signs written. The analysis of ECG tracing in reveals are declared to be done automatically. However, often you have to go through a lot of ECG tracing to check them. There is an example of one of our patients, 373 episodes of atrial tachycardia during check, so a lot of episodes. If we open one episode, there is one episode of atrial tachycardia, 2 minutes duration. There are no visible P waves, but it's regular. If we increase the gain, there are P waves. It was a bit faster sinus rhythm, and we had to go through 300 episodes. The detection is not so perfect as well. Another example, ECG detected is atrial tachycardia, but in fact it is clear ventricle extrasystole, ventricle bigeminy. So my conclusion is we have to use long-term ECG monitoring for all patients after stroke of unknown source. But compared to insertable, invasive method, the non-invasive method offers us similar efficacy for less cost, and it's easier for us, easier for the patient. My final recommendation is that you can use your luxury big and expensive car everywhere, but sometimes better to walk.